Welcome to Lunara Learning Hub, and we are going to look at one case study, and um, we are going to focus on the performance issue of this financial institution. The future of HR is data driven. Therefore, companies are leveraging on analytics to drive business decision making in their HR department. It's more or less guesswork. Now, managers, frontliners, business executives, C-suites would want to know how we can drive our people strategy with analytics. So, this problem here, we are going to diagnose the root cause of this problem. So, first of all, let me take you through the problem that happened at a financial institution. So this is what happened. They realized that most of their frontliners were underperforming. So as usual, the moment you realize that your employees are not performing well, one of the urgent thing that every HR or any employee, as in quotes, will do is to recommend training for uh, the underperforming employees. It's something, the first thought that any HR will think of. So they did that. They conducted a performance review and they recommended training for these underperforming staff. So after the recommendation, what happened was that they still realized that most of their employees were leaving. So the question was, is it an issue of performance or it is something else? This is what I want us to investigate using analytics. So if you are curious as I am and we are ready to delve into this data, let's go together. Set here. I'm going to take you through the data set to know what entails in our data set. We have the employee ID, showing the list of employees in the institution. We have the departments, the showing the various departments in the institution. We have the finance, the HR department, the IT, marketing, the operations, procurement, and supply chain. We have the sales department as well. So we also have the branches. We have various branches. Uh, we have Kumasi, Takrady, Tamale, and Tema. These are the four branches of the organization. So we have the various managers in charge of the employees in the various branches. So we have these uh, employees, the managers, we have them here. Then we also have the tenure, the years of service by each employee. So we have them in decimals and whole numbers. The decimals are representing monthly years of service, employees who have been with the company for months. So zero point 0.1 is 1 month, 1.5 here is 1 year and 5 months. We have 1.6, also 1 year, 6 months. We have two, which is 2 years. Then we also have monthly transactions, of the individual employees. Then we also have their performance score, which was conducted by the institution. We have the customer service score as well. Then we also have our turnover status. Indicating those who have exited and those who are still with the employee, with the organization. So this is, our data set. This is the data set that we are going to work with. Let us insert our pivot table in a new worksheet. First of all, let us determine the total number of employees. So our total number of employees is 200. So now we can also calculate for our attrition to know the people that have left. So let us use our turnover status. We have our turnover status here. So the employees, we have 121 employees who are still who have left the company, and we have 79 employees that have left. That is an indication that the people, it is true that uh, much of the people have left. Now, since we have confirmed that a lot of people have left uh, the company, let us go further to determine the kind of people that have left. Are they early hires or people that have been with the company for a long time? So let us go copy and paste. So here we are going to segregate that into our tenor band. So this making up our total employees. Let us filter by our turnover status, filter by employees that have left. So here we are able to identify that uh, much of the people that have left the company are the new hires, the employees that have been with the company for less than 2 years. So we have it here. Now let us go further to also calculate for transactions that are being performed by these employees. So, so here too, you realize that according to the data, you realize that the new hires are the ones performing uh, most of the transactions. They are performing uh, more than 30,000 transactions in a month. Now, let us also go further to uh, check their performance, the performance of each employee. So we have our performance status here. So since we know branches and the total number of employees at the various branches. Let us also calculate for the transactions that are being performed by these uh, employees. So we have our new hires. We are going to look out for the monthly transactions performed by these employees. So you realize that our new hires are performing more transactions. They are performing a total of 30,000 transactions monthly. So here we've been able to identify that much of the workload is on the new hires. Let us uh, further also segregate it to, let us check the performance of these employees. So we have our performance status. We are going to filter by our turnover status. So here you realize that most of the employees that are performing well are the new hires. So we are going to also go further to check whether the employees that have left were they also performing well. So here you could also see from the data that the new hires were performing. Only three employees were at risk. They were underperforming, but majority, more than 70% of these employees were performing very well. Let us check the performance of these employees. So you realize that the average performance of the new hires, the new employees was good. Let us filter by the employees that have left. You also realize from the data that 70% of these employees that left were performing very well. Let us calculate the total transactions made by these employees at various branches. So we have the total transactions made by these employees at various branches. So now we have our total number of employees. We also have our employees by attrition. We've been able to identify the total number of employees that have left. We went further to segment these employees into various years of service to help us know our recent attrition. And we realized that most of the people that are leaving are people that have been with the company for less than 2 years. Then we went further to also investigate their performance to know that the people that left were there people that were performing very well. Were they high performers or they were not performing well that resulted from them leaving. But per our data, we realize that these employees, majority of them were performing well, especially with the new hires. We realized that only three people were at risk. Almost 70% of these employees were performing very well. Then we realized that according to the transactions that were made, most of the transactions that were made by this company were the new hires, those that have been with the company not for so long. So you could deduce from this data that the new hires are the people that are leaving the company. The insight that we received from this data was that the real issue wasn't about training, but also, secondly, the actual issue wasn't also about individual capabilities. Based on our analysis, I realized that the root cause of this high turnover was a structural workload pressure and most probably lack of onboarding support for these employees. So what we did was that uh, for us to identify what actually happened in the past, why are the people leaving? Why is the turnover so high? Even though the HR team, the HR manager has recommended training for these employees, yet still the service rating is still not improving. From our analytics, we've been able to diagnose the root cause to know what actually happened. That is what data analysis can help us in HR in our daily decisions. Here, we were able to identify that the high turnover rate was as a result of workload pressure, leading to stress and burnout of these employees.